pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Okay, so we'll say 7:04.
Okay, just give me a minute to get the recording started.
Okay, so let me know when it's done. All right, I already have one typo in the minutes. I just picked up. It is. What do I have?
Oh, here, Tim's last name has a comma.
Period.
I mean a period instead of a comma.
I'll clean that up. Let me see.
I just want to make it clear that Bob Barnes is here too, though. Finishing that thought and saying, Bob Barnes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think that's all Jeff was thinking, right?
Yeah.
I can see
Kind of make a
the
statement.
keyboard.
Kind of make a statement, you know.
Yep.
Is it going, Marty, or no?
Yes.
Oh,
We're all
okay,
set.
great. Okay, so, anyway, if we could take a quick look at the minutes from the December 14th meeting.
Motion to
If
approve.
there's any changes or whatever, let me know.
Well, the next meeting would be January 11th, not 12th.
Okay?
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
I will make that change, plus the comma and the, put the is before, was, I forgot the I and the S. I was putting percent, okay.
Okay.
Okay, with revisions,
Motion to approve.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, announcements, just a couple of announcements. I did not Xerox the liaison assignments, but I did circulate by email. Did everyone, Bob, that's the one we just gave you.
I don't have your email, so I couldn't forward it to you.
Oh, sorry. Oh, I can give it to you. I'll write it
Did I
down.
send it to you?
Yes, you did. I got yours.
Right.
Yes, yes.
The only one when I was having trouble, Marty, was with Tim. I couldn't find Tim,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, so, and that, we'll use that going ahead. Hopefully we'll have some updates as far as feedback. The second thing is that every year,
Scam?
I know. I didn't think about it when I made it. Okay.
Of course, no one did.
It's
Like
just
20
my name.
20-some years
sorry,
ago,
I
right?
didn't think about it.
every year, Karen, Kelly's administrative person, coordinates collecting the annual report information that goes in from each department. So every year, we basically put together a paragraph or 2 paragraphs on the activities of the advisory committee, what we do, what our accomplishments, whatever. I think I've done it the last, 2 or 3 years. I basically take the previous year and then try to update it and whatever. But if anyone wishes to take a stab at it, please let me know. We have the next couple of weeks to look at it. And I have an annual report at home. I know you have one. Probably everyone has, right? As far as what it is. So if you could think about it, get back to me. Otherwise, I will take the task upon myself and circulate a draft.
We can view it?
Yeah. No, I'm trying to distribute the paperwork as much I can this year as possible. But if no one volunteers, I'll do it.
If you give me last year's, I'll do it this year. I haven't seen one from the advisory committee yet, so I'll do it. But
Oh, okay.
I just need one to compare.
Right.
Previous town reports.
Yeah, like the style that Jeff is looking for.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll collect an extra copy from Mike Siri and then just give you a call and we just drop it off and take a look.
Or I can pick it up from Mike too. Yeah.
Yeah, and if I have anything on the wording from last year that's in draft, I will send that.
Yeah.
I'd have to review all my emails.
Yeah.
So anyways, thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in the 6 or 7 years that I've been doing it, I think maybe 1 year, for whatever reason, I don't know if it was COVID or whatever, we sort of missed the deadline, and then, Karen extended it, or maybe she just reprinted for whatever previous year, but,
Okay.
it is nice to try to update it and,
Yeah.
put our best foot forward, excuse me. Okay. That was the only couple of announcements, and then, Bob, do you have anything after looking at the general ledger that you wanted to go
I
over?
was just wondering, when you talked about the tree warden
Yeah.
business, it's like, why nothing's getting done and money's sitting there.
Have you heard anything you say or no?
No.
Okay. So I think that's part of, you guys, you were gonna.
Yeah, yeah.
give,
Yeah.
Tree, highway,
I
and
can't
fire.
remember, I can't remember his name, but you were gonna call and find out, try to get a meeting.
Dennis Tucker.
Dennis Tucker.
Nice guy, he
Yeah.
works for Worcester, I think,
Yes, he does work for Worcester.
the highway department or
He lives on
something.
Kimball Street.
Yeah.
So, there should be some movement on that, because we allocated all that money, and
Yeah.
not either that, or, I don't know, someone hasn't put in an invoice, or, I don't know what's happened, but,
I don't think they're doing anything.
yeah,
And I
well,
don't
it
know
could
why.
be, could be.
Well, Sarah, did you hear anything in department meetings about how he's supposed to report what activity?
No, I haven't
They
heard
do?
anything. No, but I can find out. I can get some information on it. I'll call Dennis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
either of the two,
Yeah.
and then just let us know next time
Yeah.
when we have our liaison, updates or whatever.
What's your email? So
Marty, I know you're laughing at me.
No, I'm laughing at this submission by the police department.
I laughed too.
You saw that?
Yeah, I laughed.
I don't know why they put that there, but I mean, it's, whatever it is.
Department of Busy Works.
Okay, so if there's nothing on the actual report, any variances other than the tree warden, is that correct? Okay.
Yeah.
So the next thing is the basic thrust of our meeting today was to go over what had been submitted so far by the departments to Kelly, and then she submitted them to us. Were the Human Resource Spreadsheets, and I think police, library, Board of Health, property assessor, and there were one or two more. I mean, I just got the water department here. What I did.
I think we got an email, and you sent a couple others too. Or these ones?
These are the ones that he sent,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, they are.
Yeah, so what I did, because again, given the Tim Rowan, we want to keep the meeting under an hour or an hour about, I just took 3 of them
Yep.
from the original Excel spreadsheet that I forwarded by email, so that we could go over and sort of get a feel for what each, these departments I think are somewhat representative, what they're thinking. For example, just looking at it, like last year we had trouble figuring out what, everyone was doing their own thing as far as what increases for wages and that sort of thing. Here we sort of have it fleshed out so we can at least get a running start. We might even want to think today as far as, normally each year we wait to the last, again, the town meeting determines what the actual salary increase is, but we make a recommendation, the Board of Selectmen make a recommendation. This year we sort of have an idea of where it's going. It's a little bit easier, I think, because the cost of living increase, the COLA was announced by the federal government. I think it's 3.2. So that's normally, I think, the selectmen had informally promised that's more or less what they would say.
Yeah.
So, and again, I don't, in past years we really haven't had trouble as long as the COLA is more or less around, 2 or 3. When it gets over that, then, we've been at odds with the selectmen because we're trying to keep it down, and they're pushing it up due to, other pressures. So,
They're not gonna get that COLA anyways, because they went up on the Medicare quite a bit. So,
were you going to say something?
Is this statement accurate from, looks like select board? There's a couple of notes on the bottom of that about some promises made and what wasn't or wasn't, was or was not used last year.
Yeah, I had a question about that too.
Well, yeah,
Let's wait till we start
okay,
going through
Well,
the.
no, right.
Okay.
So again, get used to my style. This is
Sorry.
early. I normally try to preface and summarize whatever's gone on before, so people are oriented, because we come and go, and it's a month sometimes, well, sometimes in between, but
Yeah.
basically, the whole reason that this was done now, we had the whole big, I must say it was an argument, but a discussion at the Board of Selectmen meeting in whenever it was, September, October, when Caitlin, resigned.
Yeah, resign.
The whole thing was, we wanted to flesh out, because this is the major variable in a lot of our budget, department budgets. And if we have a little bit of lead time, rather than looking at all the information at once, we're able to figure it out. Plus, this forces everyone to sort of put it down on paper also. And I as I said at the selectmen meeting, I don't want to have to go into a conversation this year with some people, asking for 8 or putting in 8, and some people putting in 2 or 3 or whatever, and everyone has a different variation. So normally, what we do is, we're level funding the salaries, and then we make a recommendation, but at the town meeting, it's voted on, and that's the number. So, I think with this information, at least we've fleshed it out, so we have enough time to go back. If someone has done a different thing, we can sort of work with them.
And so what you're showing here are these actual submissions by any of these groups yet or not? Or are these just?
This
Yeah.
is the first part of it, and then
Okay.
the actual entire budget is due February 1st.
Okay, and so the other departments have also filed this with the select board? Or the town administrator?
On the tab that I sent, the only ones that have submitted so far were these, and then we just got the water department. So not everyone filled it out. They were supposed to have it done sometime in December, and most of them just came in the first week in January that did come
Makes
in.
sense. So that
And,
means,
and
okay,
the other thing is that Kelly had a separate Excel spreadsheet that she listed the salaries of everyone in all the departments, but it was all like raw data. So I can't remember, did I send that? I can't
Yes,
remember if I
yeah,
sent.
you did.
I couldn't print that out because it was just, it's a mammoth, thing. So what I would suggest between now and our next meeting, which will determine when it is, at the end of the meeting, take a look at those and just sort of familiarize yourself, get an idea for it, because what the departments submit should be the same as what Kelly listed on this master
Yeah, so like the
spreadsheet.
spreadsheet has everyone's name, and then
Yeah, so
he sent it by tab, so you can look at,
and that's what they got paid this year.
yeah. And then it gives them the and what also they're proposing in the comments too. So it goes all the way across.
But that was from last year's submission, so, or is
Or
this?
no, this is this year's submission.
Okay,
But this is, so it's based off of last year's hours projected for the coming up year.
but it's using this year's dollars, but with an increase, what they
Yes,
would be paid
yes, and
next
showing
year.
what they'd be paying for fiscal 2025.
And that increase is,
Well, for example, each
Yes.
department has a little bit of a,
Yeah,
as far as what I can see,
variation.
someone says 3, someone says
Yeah, like
3.2.
someone says 3.7 here, but then the chief is asking for 5%.
Right, so,
Yeah, so
so
they're-
each department's gonna take
Gonna have their
more than an hour for us to sort of
Yeah.
figure it out, but conceptually, at least this, we have numbers and we can sort of think about it, because from the advisory committee standpoint, we need to recommend whatever the number is, you're making recommendations at 3, 2, whatever, and then that applies, across
Across
the
the board.
board. Now, each department, from what the instructions Kelly gave last year, she said, well, put in what you think everyone deserves, and that's where we ended up with the problems.
Agreed, yeah.
So this year, people are still doing that, but at least they're writing it down, I believe, and I'm not sure
Yeah.
if it's reflected in the numbers or not. I haven't like reviewed the thing as far as the police chief with Holly and all that. But at least it's noted, so we don't have to fumble around and figure out what the percentage of each number is, etc. And I guess it looks like, the selectmen are declaring their strategy and saying, maybe we might recommend 3.7 because, that would show good faith and,
Okay, well, that's just that.
because we didn't,
Yeah, those are just
because
for them, yeah.
we didn't use the 8.9 last year. Cause that was
Yeah,
just
but
so
there's
way
a
out
lot
of the way.
years that the COLA for
It's a high
the
jump.
Social Security got nothing. So, and the town still got good raises, so you need to study that out. That, cause it averages out
Right.
1.6%.
Right, but
Yeah.
all I'm saying here, Bob, is that I'm just reading and saying at least they're explicit as what they're asking for,
I
rather
agree,
than just
because-
throwing the number in and what do you mean here? There's no explanation, so then we have to go back and dig and everything else. At least here, we know this is what they're thinking. We don't have to agree with it,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
at least it's on paper.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
just to, so are we saying that these base spreadsheets were all pulled together into that common spreadsheet you just sent?
Yes.
So that already has
Yes.
all the different
They're kind of-
varying numbers for
Yes.
3% for this person, 5% for this, so it's already built into that.
Supposed to be, yes.
Okay, well, that's, okay.
Yeah, like,
So,
like-
so therefore it sounds like we already have all the stuff, we may just not have it directly from each department. We've got what the town administrator thinks based on some supposition, right?
No.
Sorry.
No, the master thing that Kelly put together was just the hourly wages
Yes.
and the
Today.
information from, line by line for fiscal year 24. This is
What they're proposing.
proposing for
So this will
25.
then need to be input into that spreadsheet to show the fiscal 25 number.
No, I'm not doing anything with what Kelly
No.
sent me because that was
But yes,
just,
that
that
was
was,
lined up.
that was raw data.
Yeah, okay, that's all. Okay, that's all. Okay,
Yeah.
we're good, I'm good.
So again, if we could, I just want to try to do it in order of the three that I
Yeah.
highlighted, and again, we're each gonna have to go through, except for you, Bob, because you don't have the email situation, but I think with looking at these three, you get an idea of what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Because there's 6 or 7, and conceptually, I think they're all the same, but I mean, the information is here.
If you wanna look at them, let me know. We can get together and we can look at the spreadsheet, if you wanna look at the spreadsheet.
So, I mean, if we go through the police first, at first the chief did not want to fill anything out because he said everything's under, still being under negotiation. And then I guess Kelly convinced him that, for budgetary purposes, let's, just get whatever you have and put it in, so.
Yeah.
this
Do we
is
have any
where-
historical knowledge of what the union normally gets? Is it probably similar to the same number, the 3 something, or do we have any concept of, in the past, what those contracts have yielded from?
I don't have availability for the contracts, I don't know what, has been done in the past. It just seems like it always takes longer than the time period to negotiate, though, that's as far as I
Yeah.
can
They
tell.
still, have they negotiated, have they finalized yet?
No.
No.
No. And, so whatever does get, negotiated, I guess that will come out as a warrant article. Hopefully they get it done before, May or whenever,
Unless-
mid-May.
Unless we just assume whatever the flat rate is for everyone else, that's what they'll get too, so that it'll at least be in that budget, and then if it's anything more,
That,
then that would be the
I
warrant.
believe that's what we did last
Good.
year.
Yeah, I was gonna
And it is still gonna be a carryover, I
Yeah.
guess,
Yeah.
So, again, the only, and I'm thankful to the chief for typing in, some information so we understand. As far as the 5% raise for Holly, I mean, we're not supposed to do, salary situation, so my feeling would be make a note of that, and then we back that out of whatever budget is submitted.
Yeah,
And
it's
he can
hard
either do that
because-
on the floor,
Yeah.
as far as like,
Like they did
Linda
last
did
year.
for Mike Siri
Siri
and,
last year.
Yeah, that's
Brenda.
not,
Yeah.
that can't happen again, that's just,
I don't think that's a
yeah, no, it's not.
Give a warrant.
But before we go into the,
Right, but when we talked to the chief, he said, well, why do you think she deserves a 5% over the cost of living? I mean, what has she done that's extra over the other patrolman or clerk or whatever? So
Yeah,
that,
because not trying to, and I'm not taking away from Holly at all, but, her hourly rate is gonna be more than some of the police officers.
right.
So, and like I said, I'm not taking away from Holly. She does a wonderful job. It has nothing to do with her, but that's also a consideration. She is going to be making more as someone that is on patrol.
Well,
Yeah, that's
That'd be
fair.
fair.
Yeah, and she has also the same rate as a water department clerk. So when she's also a water department clerk, she is still making more than a patrol officer that's out on patrol.
Yeah, but she does both jobs, so right?
Yes, yeah. Which,
So-
but that is something into consideration
Yes, it is.
too.
I agree.
right, so, but when you do talk to the chief though, I mean, I think
Who's
this
talking
sort
to
of
the chief?
situation is out,
You're kind of talking.
yeah, is sort of outside the norm, so that he would have
Yeah.
to justify it with some sort of a, paragraph or whatever, to say, this
Yeah.
is why I believe she deserves.
Deserves a 5% raise.
5%.
Yeah.
And I think you,
He didn't say whether this is over the COLA or in addition to the COLA.
Yeah, like is it? That's what I'm saying too. Is it? So everyone is asking for a 3.7% raise. So is
3.2, Kevin.
3.2.
3.2.
And
Only one
so
department
is he
thinks
asking
it's
for
okay.
it to go to 5%? Is he adding 5%? Is he trying to
Right,
make it
Right,
overall
so
5%?
we,
How do you
just,
tell you
just a
overall?
question, this
I would
question
assume.
we'll have to clarify.
Yeah.
Right? So we can, sort of make sure that we're not, either double counting or we have the right number.
So just to make sure I'm clear, so the department heads who haven't submitted these yet are still under the gun to get them done, right? And who's policing that? Is that Kelly going after
Kelly.
them, bugging them
Yeah.
to get them done? Because I
Yeah,
just
since we spoke, mid-December, I called her and she said, look, I don't have anything yet. And then when I talked to her again, she said she had library and, there was, highway department, I think, because someone else had to do that because Ryan had left. So those were the only two, and then more came in before our meeting today.
okay, so highway is. maybe-
I didn't print the highway
Oh,
one
you
out,
did.
but it's
Oh,
in
we
the
do have highway.
Excel, it's in there.
We do have
Yeah.
Yeah,
highway.
we
Okay,
do.
good.
So,
What
Just
are,
their wages though.
yeah. So what are we missing then specifically with departments?
well, there's probably 24 departments that were missing, so,
Yeah.
but again, that will come in with the budget at the end of the month.
Wow.
This was basically to give us a running start. I mean, it's a first
Okay,
test,
yeah,
a first
yeah.
try to, sort of hopefully get our questions answered prior. And I mean, right now, looking at this, I mean, I have a much better feel than I did last year at this point in time
Yeah.
as far as where we're going with it. So,
Yeah, I like the
that's
notes.
good.
I like having, even like you said, even if it is the 5% of whatever they're asking for, and I like how they're writing it down. They're putting it in there, and it's not a surprise.
Right, and
on
I
the
mean,
motion
it's
floor,
basically
yeah.
been a 4-year process to get them to put more information when they're justifying their budgets.
Yeah.
I mean, some people do it, some don't, and it's been very difficult to police, again, because trying to follow up, so. Long story short, that's the one question that I sort of had on the police.
No, I've got another question.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Marty.
Why isn't there a new hire there? Are we adding a patrolman or are we replacing one?
No, we're adding one.
And how is that justified?
I don't know how it was justified, but he got the approval
For
from,
who?
I
Select
believe,
board,
the
obviously.
select board, to hire somebody.
Well, he gave told us last year that he can't use part-time patrolmen.
Yeah, I remember all that.
Yeah,
But that's a separate situation than hiring a new one. Because we had does the sergeant go on patrol? I'm gonna
yes,
ask him that.
yeah,
So,
Sean goes on.
so now this gives us a 6th patrolman.
Yes.
When we've always had 5.
Yes,
And this is just the balloon effect of how we keep spending money.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
But we've got nothing to say about it. The Board of Selectmen's approved it.
That's unfortunately.
We're
I know.
pissing in the wind.
We can
Yeah.
question it,
Well, it's kind of late now.
for a reason.
We already broke them on, or we
Well,
already
well,
got approval.
But again, Marty, I mean,
It's
I
worth
know
the
it was
question.
difficult last year because they were doing the search for the missing person. But I mean, normally the chief should be able to say, "This is my strategy. This is why we wanted the extra person," and the selectmen approved it. But just sort of get a feel for what his strategy is and his thinking. That's all. Just in a nice, normal, friendly way, like we normally do.
What does that accomplish?
It helps us.
The
It
issue is
helps
whether
us
or
not to
we- the
question
town of
every single
Brookfield
thing.
needs another.
Yeah, whether or
Well,
not
no,
you
but
think
but
that
he
needs a sixth
obviously
person.
has reasons for it. He wouldn't have suggested it, and the selectmen wouldn't have approved it. So there's got to be some thinking here. We just don't have the reasoning. That's all. But
Yeah,
that's when you
I'll
have
be
your
talking.
when you have your meeting. Then
Yes.
you can you know,
And just to stay on the police department for a second, so we've got the wage sheet, but by the end of this month, early February, he's also gonna come in, if he has any other expenses, that he's got.
right, well, it'll be a whole full-blown thing, similar to the last, every year
Looking for a
we
new
do it.
cruiser or whatever
Yes,
else,
right, right.
changes to the building, because all the building work has been done, right, whatever needed to be done, is that still, or is that in this budget, or do we have to worry about that in?
When we get it, I don't know, because we haven't had really much contact with the chief, so.
We're trying to keep this meeting to an hour, you know.
I agree, and we're doing a fine job here. Because one thing, all I'm saying is, once we work through one department, now we have to template. what to
I do
with
have a
everyone.
question though, if you can ask the chief. If they do hire somebody, what is the stance on, are they bringing him through police academy school? Are we paying for that? Because that was a question with the select board, so I kinda wanna.
That's been a big, what do you call it, thorn in the.
Yeah, so I kinda wanna know if that, cause that's gonna be another line on his budget when he comes in.
Yeah.
That's not included for this new hire, like this is just his salary, so like that's gonna be another expense.
Well, if it's on the other budget submission, then that's when I talk to him, when
Yeah.
I have that budget in.
Yeah, so so are they paying for it? Is the patrolman gonna pay for it? So I kinda wanna know what the stance on that is.
Yeah, because I know in previous years, that was always a justification, that other towns were doing that.
Yeah.
And so, you know, to remain competitive,
Yeah.
the town had to do it too, I don't know
Yeah.
what the.
May I speak on that?
Sure.
Yes, what they're doing here is they're hiring this new guy, they're paying him 6 months' salary at this rate. They're also paying him to go through the academy.
But-
And
Oh, he
they're
is
also
being paid.
paying him for his gear. So you're talking some serious dollars here.
Wait a minute, what's the 6 month salary?
When he's
Before
in-
he starts working?
He's
But-
in the academy for 6 months, they're paying him his
Okay,
full
so
rate.
they're paying his wages while
We
he's in the
are.
academy.
And
we
we're also
are.
paying his academy and all his gear and all his books and everything else. Do the math. It's big money.
Yeah, so my question is like, is there a contract that he has to stay with the town of Brookfield
No.
after a year? Like, can he just go through the academy and then go to West Brookfield and then now we just paid
Yes.
for him to go through the academy and now he's a police officer in another town?
That's
And I'm not
correct.
saying that he would do that. I don't even know if there's a new hire,
It's not,
but I'm asking the question.
the chief promised
That's a
the
tough
select
one.
board several years
Yeah.
ago, and when we were on the finance board, he wouldn't do it again. And he said he didn't remember. He's doing it again.
I can
And-
hear them now.
And some towns,
But on a
some towns do this too, but it's not the norm. And I don't care what other towns do. We should not be doing it.
Or,
Is there any sort of, I mean, that's the other question, I guess, does each patrolman have I guess they have a contract through the union, but.
yeah, so like, can he have a contract with the town of Brookfield saying that he can't go anywhere for a year if we pay for him to go through the academy?
No.
Like, that's a lot of money.
Unless it's negotiated in union contract, probably not.
Yeah, probably not, right?
Well, maybe
So,
that could be one of the points, but
When-
again, we're not part
When
of
the
it.
chief
Yeah.
presented this to the select board, he said that he had the funds in the budget to cover the candidate's cost to go to the academy plus his salary. And he thought that, you know, if there was a possibility that he didn't have it in his budget, that the select board would approve it to come from like free cash or something, there would be a small amount, not a huge amount. And he also emphasized that.
Out of what, this year's budget, he had some money sitting around?
Yes,
obviously?
yes, sir. And,
Must have,
yeah, but what about next
and
year?
he also
Well,
emphasized
that's
that.
what we'll see.
Yeah.
He also emphasized that using this approach was able to get us a candidate because we couldn't get a candidate any other way. And he used this in the past, and this approach he used in the past gave us patrolmen's that say 3-4 years. So it was successful in the past.
Yeah, I mean, 3 or 4 years is a good time period, but
Yeah.
did he make any justification for
Yeah,
why he
because
needed an extra
we
patrolman?
kept on trying to hire someone, try to get a candidate, couldn't get a candidate in, and this was a last resort option.
But, I mean, was this to lessen the amount of hours that the
Yeah.
patrolman were,
Well,
the
it's a separate
existing
question.
patrolman were out?
Two questions.
Yeah.
I understand what Chris said, and
Yeah.
then I'm asking the second one
Yeah.
is, did the chief give any justification at the select board why he needed this extra?
Patrol.
That I can't
He
answer
did
for. I'm
not say,
sorry.
no. They, like Marty said, they do not need another patrolman.
Well,
Well, that's
My-
your
that's
opinion.
my-
I'm
Yeah,
just
that's
curious
your
as far as what
opinion.
the
Mine.
reason,
That's
I'm
my
just
opinion.
curious as far as what the reasoning is.
That's my
Yes,
Because
I
I-
would
We're not
I
gonna
have
solve
some-
that problem today.
too.
Our associate Marty's gonna figure that out with.
Yeah,
with
Marty,
6.6.
figure it out for us.
Moving on.
Yeah,
It's on your shoulders, Matty.
thank you.
But there's one other question I have on here is longevity. I'm gonna have to ask Kelly what the town's position is on longevity and whether or not it applies to groups who have union contracts. I
Well,
don't know
that
if
was,
that's in
that was
contract
the
or
other
not.
thing that I was screaming about last
So that was
year.
last year's
Last
one
year,
time
right?
only.
Yeah.
We heard.
Well,
One
she
time
said
only.
she said one time, but now we've got others, yeah.
Lots of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
All right, so let's move on to the library.
Alright, I got problems with this one too.
Okay, go ahead. Please.
Okay, well, my first question is, library assistant. Wasn't this a new position last year and she's leaving?
Who, Andrea?
No, Michelle? Right, it says number sign, this position is open at the time of submission
sorry,
and
all right.
actively pursuing replacement.
Oh, that's for the Michelle, yeah, not the director though.
I don't know what this position is.
So, is there two library, so is there,
Well, that's just an assistant.
so library
The
assistant?
assistant director is
That's
just
what
Julia
they did
Taylor,
last
right?
year.
Okay, so this is the one that we applied last
Yeah,
year, the
I-
40 for Julia.
That's what I
The
would,
assistant
Okay.
director.
So what is, alright, so this is a
So
substitute.
this position is open at the time of submission and actively pursuing.
replacement. So,
So I guess they need someone sort of like a swing person, is that what it is?
yeah, so,
Probably.
That left and now they need to replace
yeah,
that
now
person.
they need to replace that person. Okay, that was my only question, was that the position last year, but no, it's Julia's position that was created
Yeah,
last year.
and so
Okay.
there doesn't seem to be any other issue. Last year we had the issue because we did not realize that the board of trustees somehow has some sort of capacity to approve things, but they thought that the town would just automatically go along with whatever they approved. That's what got ourselves in a big squabble last year. And I think that was just lack of thinking on their part, because I mean I
Yeah,
have a
because
good
that's-
relationship
that
with
makes no sense.
Brenda and everything else. She should have said, hey, look, this is what we're doing.
this is what we
You
like
want
to
to sit in, and we didn't get that notification until almost like 2 weeks before the town meeting. So
You know,
hopefully they.
we got a problem here. Time out. You remember what we tried to enforce for the past couple of years is that we level fund everything, and when it came to salaries, then the COLA would apply universally across all positions. This mechanism was only intended to show if there are any changes in salary due to
Right.
increased hours, decreased hours, work performance, anything like that. But now what we're looking at is the COLA is factored in every one of these sheets.
We'll just back it up. No, I'm saying, but that's what we have to do
That's
each.
what they requested. It's just like the budget request for the total, their
It's
month's
just
total
another
budget.
piece of mass confusion.
Oh, I'm not suggesting it's not.
No.
All I'm saying, this is the first piece of it, and then the budget
Yeah.
comes through.
Yeah.
And
Right, but we have always level
How did
funded.
this get miscommunicated? They weren't supposed to be putting in COLAs. That was our rule, no COLAs.
This is, well, I mean, you saw what Kelly sent out. I don't know exactly how it got whatever, but
Yeah.
again, if what I would like to do is when we get the budget sheets, we have this information. At least we know line by line what the amounts are. We just have to, I'm gonna have to back it out, or whoever
Yeah,
helps
put
me
it
with
back
the
out.
Excel spreadsheet.
Kelly runs the spreadsheet, so we've gotta be careful that she doesn't plug in these numbers and then add the COLA on top of it.
Well, we'll be able to tell between what they got this year.
Yeah, but
I
again,
get what
It's a
you're
pain in the
saying. Yeah,
butt.
you
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
want
you're right.
these to be plugged in and then add the COLA,
the
because
COLA.
then you're talking almost 7%.
Yeah.
Off their wages.
Agreed, agreed.
Yeah, agreed.
that's why we had this rule about
Agreed.
not submitting anything with COLAs, that it would be applied universally when the spreadsheet was.
But then also
Finalized.
you
Makes
have the
sense.
problem where now they're just not asking for COLA wages; they're asking for above COLA wages.
And that's happened in the past.
Yeah, but
You
yeah,
just say no, or you say, if it makes sense and the town thinks it's a good idea, then we do it, but it's not,
yeah,
I mean, we even have to think about, do we even honor whatever the code is? I'm
yeah.
sorry, well,
That's
all
our
I can
first
say-
thing. Yeah, are we going to honor COLA? I guess.
And the select board, the advisory committee, and select board made a promise.
But that's when we meet with the Board of Selectmen and hash out what the COLA should be.
Yes,
And
and
then
they're
that's when it
assuming
gets plugged
yes,
in.
and plugged in.
Well, no, I mean, we make our own decision as far as what we
What
want
our
it to be. I
recommendation.
mean,
Yes.
I'd say every single year that I've been on this committee, we've always disagreed what the numbers should be, what we should recommend. And in the last couple of years, it's become even worse just because of the inflation or whatever else. But prior to even you coming, we had a couple of situations where I know, I mean, Bob routinely recommends I don't care what COLA is, whatever else is, I recommend 2% increase. And then so we sort of go from there. And most times we're coming in either at COLA or under COLA, and at least we, there is a line item on the book that goes to the public that they know that okay, we're here, we're there, and if someone gets up and says, well, why did you recommend that? We said, well, we thought that was the fiscally responsible thing to do or whatever, and then the town votes on it. They might go with the selectmen or they might go with something else. But we always make our own decision. I mean, we talk about it, we say, hey, do we want to go against the select board? And that's normally what happens.
Well, our decision doesn't mean shit if we haven't worked it out with the board of selectmen.
But
It can
again,
be
It has no impact.
but if they're going to do what they're going to do, we have enough. No, I mean we're in the whatever for the bylaws and everything else. I mean we're supposed to recommend. We recommend whether they take our
Exactly.
recommendation
And
or not.
the board's
is-
going to say select board recommends X, advisory recommends Y, and there's going to be a vote, and
Yeah.
whatever it is, it is.
Right.
And we lose.
It's the same thing that
That's all we
happened.
do.
I'm not going to go. But again, the same thing that happened with Mike Sirius on the floor with Linda and those two people.
Yep.
Everyone recommended this is what we've done. We spent 6 months working on it, and one
All of a sudden,
person
couple-
stood up and said something, and everyone said, yeah, we like that idea. And so,
So then everything went out the window.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
People standing up opposing, that's the problem.
Well, that's all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody says nothing.
Yeah. Well,
well, I mean, it happened very quickly also.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
as
so
I
you
said,
know,
I
I
take
stood up and said,
responsibility. I
no,
felt like a deer in
no,
headlights. By the time
That's
I
a
opened
lot
my
of money for 24 hours.
well, that's a separate conversation. The conversation originally is there is a person on board,
Yeah.
and all the people
There's no person on
understood
board
about
no
it.
more.
Right? Well, I know that.
Yeah.
But now it's a select
well,
board
because they
problem.
wouldn't re-elect Linda or wouldn't reappoint Linda
Yeah,
because of what she did. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and I want to point out the inconsistency between the select board submission and the library submission. The select board, or the board, has recommended the 3.2 COLA. Do they mean the select board? When the select board here is saying 3.7.
Well, careful. What's that saying? What that's saying
It's
is
another
that
inconsistency.
there's some promise that they want 3.7 because it was you didn't use COLA last year. Apparently, according to the notes, whoever made these notes, right? And then she will add that 0.5% you screwed us out of last year. They're saying.
Yeah, but
This
why
year
is
you
it
get
3.7 on this paper and 3.2 on this paper? That's my
Well,
point.
because there's a promise. Apparently, they claim.
Because
And they're claiming it came from the select board.
Oh, with the audit committee and the select board. Look at that.
Yeah.
Made a promise.
Wait a minute.
I get what you're saying.
I'm just looking at these two notes on the select board thing. They're kind of
This one.
they're fairly humorous.
This one says 3.2 on the library. Which one are you
Yeah.
looking at?
Yeah,
That's what I'm
but
talking
then
about.
this one says 3.7 for select board. So he's saying that everyone,
The select board are doing their own
yeah, their
thing
own
for-
thing.
I
Yeah, well,
don't
that's
know
my
what they're-
question. When they say the board here on the library submission, are they talking about the library board or the select board? Because the select board approved 3.7.
Okay, I get what you're
This
saying.
is
The
the
board
board
has
of
voted to
trustees for the
recommend.
library. Remember that independent body that approved the $65,000 or $70,000 for Brenda
That's an
last year?
assumption, we don't know. I don't know who the board is.
No, I would,
Okay,
Well,
so
positive.
clarification, yeah, the board has voted to recommend.
Does the library board typically recommend COLA?
they do whatever they want. They're their
Okay.
own independent little thing.
But you're right. Is that the library?
They have to
board?
go
Yeah,
to
is
the
that the
town to
library board or
get
the
whatever they
select board?
recommend approved or funded. That's where the rub is. They thought it was automatic, but it's not. I mean, they need to work in conjunction with us. We never had this problem
Okay.
before, but,
Well, we're running overtime here. Let's keep
Take
moving.
it straight.
oh my goodness. All right, which one are we?
Leave it right in the middle in case you have to.
So those are,
Please.
those,
Back to the library, that's the only
Library.
one I had the
Select board
question
was the
about.
only. Yeah.
I'm okay with the library.
The select board is just this. For some reason, they've got this oddball thing. That everyone promised them, and then by the way, you have to.
well, let me
Sure,
put it to
so.
you this way. Kelly filled it out on behalf of the select board, and when I spoke to her briefly, she said that, this is what the select board was thinking. Is sort of a recompense for the not doing the 6.9 last year. Again, I don't know if that's, how everyone is thinking, but that's probably what she
Well,
she put
as
that
long as
note
they
in
understand,
there to
as
go
long,
in place.
as long as the select board understands, you can't just give this group this 3.7. If you're gonna do that, if they're gonna do that, everyone's gotta get the same, as you've been talking right along, and then we can come back and say, look, we don't think town can afford 3.7.
Either way, what we have to do when we get the budget, the full thing is to back out and level fund,
Yep.
and then little note at the bottom and saying, okay, you know,
Here's the problem I have, Jeff.
yeah,
We had a problem last year where somebody told all the departments there was gonna be an 8.7% COLA. We don't want that kind of recommendation coming out this early in the process.
Yeah.
This should be at the end of the process because
Exactly,
a lot can
yes.
change between now and the time we finalize the budget. But here we are again, somebody telling everybody put down 3.2% or 3.7% for the COLA. And this has to be straightened out with Kelly because this originates with Kelly.
and this is why we've had the discussions, and this is why there's supposed to be, I don't know when is the department head meeting in January, do you know?
I don't know. I can.
That was where they're supposed to pass out the, you know, the budget worksheets and everything else, but Kelly did it by email without, having discussion, because, you know, in previous years, we've gone to the department head, meeting, and when it's passed out, and so we explained, this is what you should do. Last year and the year before, she took that over, and this is the result. We thought we had it fixed in the September meeting, but apparently we're, you know, having some problems again. So I don't know how to address that other than just to back everything out and just do level funding as we've always done, because that's the only way we're going to get a budget that makes sense. And then at the end, you just, all right, whatever is voted on, then you just add the number, and you make sure that whatever is in the warrant, in the book that is presented is the actual number without any increases. You know, and that's all we can do.
I mean, just so we understand what could happen, I mean, the level funding is X, but we could add, hey, put a cell if there's 3 point whatever we want, we can then recalculate everything, and you can see what the impact, the total impact is after that.
Well, we could do that internally, but in the book itself, it'll say, this is last, you know, whatever it was, 24, this is what, you know, the select board increases, or the selectmen recommend, this is what the advisory committee recommends, and then you have, you know, the two numbers, and you vote on which one.
And part of that is you take the level funded through the whole budget back into what the tax rate's going to be, because they just finished all the assessments, right? We just got hammered with, our tax rate's low, but
Yeah.
you know, our assessments went through the roof. So now, hopefully, that's fixed. I think it's fixed for 3 years, 5 years, whatever it is.
No, they do it every year now.
No, it's every year.
Oh, okay. Well,
Because of
Well,
the
then we-
digital age.
Well, then, okay, but then we also then need to talk to Al or someone else and say, what do you assume the net, and we need the whole picture. The budget's gonna be X, right? The current levy is Y, right? And that gives you $15.73 a thousand. But by whatever the new budgets are, now it's gonna either go to $16 or back down to 15, but we need to understand, well, where do you think the assessments will go? Are they gonna go up 1%, 10%, 20%? Because that's the only way to do the math to understand what the impact of the budget really is. What's my tax bill going to be? That's all anyone cares about. 3, 2, 5, 1. Who cares?
That's not Al's perception.
No.
Al's perception is the town tells him what they budgeted for, and they tell him how much has to be raised. And regardless what the assessments are, they have to adjust the
Yes,
mill
that's
rate.
one. Well, there's two ways to go at it, and that's how
but
they.
Al's way is the town tells him what's got to be raised.
That's fine for the select board wants to tell Al. All I'm saying, our committee can look at it from the opposite end and see what that impact is, because it's a simple calculation. We did that for years when I was on the advisory committee 10 years ago. That's how we backed into the number. And said, okay, well, just knowing, if you want a budget bigger than this, it's going to cost people
Yeah,
money.
if you want
This
all
is
of
the
this to
impact.
happen, our tax rate is
It's
going
going
to
to
be
be that's all it's going to happen.
X
Just so people know what they're voting on,
Yeah.
right? Don't come to me later and carry on about the tax bill. You voted for a buddy at the town meeting, so you need
But
to show
with the
people the number.
assessments changing every year,
Yeah, but
it's kind of a moving target.
Well, we can just assume a flat percentage for that. We can just make the assumption of X and do a calculation and back into it. It's relatively straightforward to do that. I just like doing it that way because I want people to understand exactly what they're voting on, because no one knew what they were voting on last year when, you know, Mike Siri got this and the library got.
No, now they're opening their tax bills and they're
And
saying,
they're going,
what the
"Holy
hell?
crap, what happened
what
here?"
happened?
Well, that's what they need to understand, so that when they get to town meeting, people understand, okay, that's going to cost me X in a real fashion. I had an old spreadsheet 10 years ago that people could plug in numbers and see what was going to happen to the tax bill based on whatever the town voted on. I've lost all those naturally over the years, but you know, it's a relatively.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving along to get out of here in our hour or less.
Right, and let me just make one comment. Previous to the town administrator coming in, we had our system where we're doing both the top end and the bottom, so that we knew the whole picture. With the town administrator coming in, she now does all that, and we're basically just looking at the budget. I agree with you, sort of operating blind, but, you know, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever, I mean, we did all that information, and we did the revenues and everything else. I mean, Tom Regan had a spreadsheet that no one could understand, but that was developed from a whole series of stuff. And so he would put in, you know, the assessment, the levy, everything else, and then figure out how much we were under the levy, and then we could calculate, depending on what the tax rate was. And again, that was the whole political thing. Do you want to, you know, it is somewhat complicated to be able to explain how it all gets impacted to people who maybe don't have a knowledge of finance. So there was always
details, yeah. They just need to know.
No. I understand, but it was that was the sort of the trepidation, and then now I'm not sure how Kelly finesses it or not, but I mean we can do that all over again. We might even be able to resurrect the model, but it's more. We would be getting into another dispute.
But I'm sorry if it sounds complicated. You need like 2 or 3 or 4 numbers, just a big fat number. What's the assessment? What's the budget? And you can do so you can do a very fast, quick calculation with just a bottom line numbers. That's all we're asking for. I mean, and that's simple. I mean,
well, so then maybe we should just ask, see if we can get Al to come in with what raw data he has, and then we can try to work on it.
Just to have a sense.
That'll almost have to be a separate meeting if you want to get into that.
Or we could even have a conversation with them separately. But
that's true. Yeah.
Okay, so in terms of the meetings with the different departments, obviously it's not really useful for anyone to have those until we have the final budget sheets, which we're hoping by the first part of February. So I'm assuming that we'll be trying to meet with the departments as long as we have all the information sometime mid to late February, early March.
Well,
is that what your thought is? I mean, I'm just.
It depends on how much time each individual has and what the department people have. I mean, I normally, when we've done it in the past, is like have a preliminary meeting, say, hey, look, you know, what are you thinking this year? You know, you're working on the budget now. What do you think are going to be the big items? Like when I talked to Ryan at the highway department last year, immediately said, well, we've got to get the salt something or other. That's like $25,000. So, well, that's fine. That's a warrant article item. Is there anything else that's a question, whatever? Then he mentioned about how they were overpaying Lindsay, was it, I guess, or something about vacation time. So there's a couple of things that came up, nothing major. And then when the actual budget information came in, and we went back and talked to him again, and then he came in. So it was like a 2 or 3 step process. We don't have to do that with each department, but if you talk to them earlier rather than later, then at least you can sort of give them some back and forth as far as what we're thinking, and also help them to sort of prepare their submission.
Okay, so I'm just trying to plan my schedule. I've got myself a bunch of new clients I didn't really expect.
Welcome back to the working world.
I didn't really want these, but
all right.
It's fun. So I just need to so preliminary meeting. I'm thinking we could try to do something early February.
Yeah.
And then and that'll prompt them to finish the budget.
Yes.
Right? Yes. And then sometime maybe hopefully mid-March have that a more detailed discussion, and then from there we'll have the base. Is that the right timing?
I would do it as soon as you can, just, you know, make a phone call, find out how are you doing on the budget? Do you have time to talk with us for half an hour? Just sort of let us know what's going on. I wouldn't spend any more than half an hour if you can get the time, if you have the time.
Yeah.
But just sort of get that done as soon as possible, so you develop, you know, the rapport, or at least the ability to just, you know, have someone be responsive to you. Because normally the biggest problem we had, I mean, is getting people to respond in a timely fashion, and then developing a little bit of trust with us that, hey, you know, just tell us what you're thinking. You know, we're impartial. We're just trying to, you know, get everything to fit and make sure we understand what you're thinking. And
Okay.
for my way of thinking, the
That
sooner
helps.
the sooner.
That helps.
If not, I mean, you know, we just have to base, because again, it's volunteers. If you don't have the time, then you don't have the time. You get to it when you can.
I did go to the Board of Health meeting last night. They did talk about their budget, so they did kind of discuss it, and they're finishing
Oh, good.
up. Yeah, the planning board, I went to their meeting. They talked about their budget, and I told them to get it done as soon as possible. But they didn't see any changes. They're not increasing.
Yeah, planning is not a
Pretty
real
simple.
big deal.
No,
Yeah.
Board of Health, they're looking for a couple hefty increases. So I'm waiting.
As far as expense related items.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was a little bit trouble last year, because when Kelly, I mean, she put some attention on that as far as what was going on, and so I think the first time around the budget wasn't filled out properly, so we had to go back and do it again, but.
Yeah, they thought that Lester was supposed to be doing 100% of the works, but
that was
it's actually supplemental, so now they need to add an expense line and fund a health agent. So I think that will be a big expense for them.
So we're not getting a regional health agent.
So they rely on Lester, but
Right.
you know, Lester's been doing most of the work, and they got it from a grant, but the state announced that Lester was not supposed to be doing 100% of the work, where right now Lester is, kind of, I believe. So last night at the meeting, the chair of the Board of Health said that they need to add an expense line and fund a Board of Health agent.
You're on that, right?
Yes, I am, and Tara is absolutely
Yeah,
correct.
correct me if I'm
Right.
wrong, correct?
Right, but we also made the decision to reduce our meetings. We used to meet
Once a month.
we're meeting right now twice a month. Right now, we're currently meeting twice a month, and we made a decision last night to go to once a month.
Yes.
So that will decrease our stipends. So there'll be some money from that.
So like fiscal year.
That's not much of a.
I know
No,
but
it's not. Their
something.
stipend's not going to know, and like a health agent is a pretty big expense. So
I mean, that's probably, someone needs a lot of training or
Background
experience.
training,
or
yeah,
whatever.
yes, they have to have their public health degree. Yeah.
Okay, so again, we have some stuff that's cut
Okay,
out
so
for us as far as the new
we'll get
more
those
stuff.
meetings as fast as we can. That'll prompt them
Yes.
to keep going on the other thing, and then we can follow up. Okay, I got that sorted out.
Okay, so,
Okay.
Does anyone have any other, we
We haven't done the select board yet, have we?
I thought we did.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
kind
we
of
have
did. I mean,
right?
I mean,
That was the
it doesn't really-
3.2 versus the 3.
Yeah, I mean,
Jeff, may I speak when you get a moment?
Yeah, do we have any other, I just wanted to mention before, David,
I do have a
Yeah.
question though.
sure.
The all boards clerk is not on this, and they are actively hiring an all boards clerk. So
Who's our, who is our,
I am.
oh, okay.
they had interviews on Tuesday. So I'm curious to see where this wage is.
Yeah. And then I had another, I mean, this is a positive for you, but I already mentioned it, Chris, is that I talked to Scully and he said the whole conservation committee was threatening to resign if he didn't come back. And he said that you had left for like a 25 cent or 50 cent an hour difference. And I said, well, there should be some mechanism within the budget to
Yes.
be able to,
Yes.
in mid-season, keep good employees.
Yeah.
And so that's something I would want to bring up with the administrator.
Yeah.
When I talk to her. Because I mean, for 20 bucks, I mean, it's like $100 a month. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
I
did
don't
the
see why we
math, and
should
it was
lose
like
someone.
it was like $50 a week. Not even, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make sense because, I mean, I know we looked, and I mean, you happened to
Yeah.
but it was a long search.
Sure, yes,
And then trying to do it again
yeah.
is gonna be, I think, a fairly intensive process. So, I mean, the amount of money we probably have spent on advertising or at least executive time is, yeah. And then just one other thing before, Bob did, bring the water department, information. It's not in an Excel or anything, so I'm gonna have to, get copies.
But they're
to-
self-funded like the.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
If you wanna take a quick look, and then I can make copies for the next meeting. David, go ahead.
Yeah, you guys have a lot of questions about what this board's doing and what that board's doing, and what about this figure and that figure. Why are you not having the budget department heads come to your board? And then you don't have to be chasing.
We're starting.
No, I mean, everybody comes into the board, one at a time, or three
Yes,
people
yes,
a night.
yes.
Instead of you going out, tracing them down. Now, you had questions about the library, you had questions about the selectmen, you had questions with the police chief. Now, if they came in here with their budget, all 5 of you could ask them questions.
What we've done in the past couple of years is we have requested department heads to come into the meeting when we specifically
But you're not doing
allocate
that
time
this
for
year.
them.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
we haven't got to that part yet. We don't have the budgets yet. We only have this
But are they
preliminary
gonna come
salary.
in?
Yes.
Yes.
The ones that have questions for.
Why are you doing
This-
the budget? Why don't you just,
We're
when they
not
come
doing the
in?
budget. This is the preliminary examination of what the requests for wages are.
Right.
This is a new step this year.
I understand all that, but that should all be done when they come in. And
We
you go
can't,
each
we
budget, and you
certainly
put it
can ask
together.
them, but we're not gonna have them come in until we have the budget plus the salary information.
Correct.
We're gonna talk to them.
But
out
are
in
you
the
having,
field.
are you gonna have all the people come in, or are you gonna keep chasing around trying to get them?
Oh, no, but, hey, we're just gonna have, just conversations with the department heads, and then if we still need them to come in, yeah, we'll bring them in. But again, that's a next
We
step.
do
That's
it
not
other
happening.
ways.
Yeah.
You came to when we talked to Ryan last year. That was just one department that we came in, but I had met twice earlier with him. So it's basically, we put a significant amount of effort into knowing what the department's strategies and personalities and everything else are. So again, we're not gonna have the, what is it called, the animal collector, the animal.
Oh, the animal.
Right, I mean, we don't need that person or the
Animal
water or the
control
electric
officer.
inspector to
animal
come in,
control
but the
officer,
big departments, we go out, we talk to them, we find out what's going on, and then we bring them in for a formal, but at least they know who we are before we bring them in, so there's a little bit more of a back and forth that we're able to,
Right.
like again, with the, I'll just give you a straightforward example, with the Board of Health individual, she just was newly elected last year, so we didn't have a chance to get out and talk to her prior. When she came in, she had no idea what to expect, so we had to spend more time than we normally would, sort of telling her this is what the process is, this is how the advisory committee works, and then when we went through all the line items, she was under certain assumptions that apparently were not correct, which we found out later. So this is why these meetings we're having with the liaison is why we do it before, just so that when they do come in for their meeting, hopefully it's a one-shot deal. It's like, sometimes we have 2 or 3 departments back to back. I mean, you've been in those
Right, but my
situations.
question is, are you gonna have every department come in except the inspectors, you don't.
Look, we have 28 departments. If
Right.
we get to 10 or 12, or we'll be lucky. But the ones we have liaisons with are the major ones.
Yeah.
Like the school committee, the library, all those. They will come in, or we'll go.
The
The
big
school
spenders.
committee, we go to them in their public meeting and ask all the questions. We get a whole bunch of information. So
No, it just seems like every year we're reinventing the wheel, every time it's different, every time, I see that happening,
Well, this year, the big difference is finding out about wage changes early. That's,
Yes.
and we wanted that to be a separate piece, because when they're asking, when they just throw it in a budget line, we don't know if something's changed because their hours have changed, there's a lot of variables.
Yeah, but that's all part of the budget process. Right.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you're spending time tonight, and you should go each budget when they're here, The COLA can just be weighted, that COLA, can you do that at the end? Don't even worry about what someone puts in, they can
You
put in 10%.
heard me say that,
Right,
right?
you can
No,
put
but
a
that's
10%
what we
in.
do.
Yeah, don't even, don't
Yeah,
even,
yeah.
So moving on,
The only reason I brought it up now is because it's on the sheets, okay? Last year, we waited to discuss it, and then we went back and forth because there was such a right now,
Just cross it off right now. Just
Yeah,
cross it
yeah,
off.
yeah.
Yeah.
Don't even discuss it, you know?
But I also agree that I like the comments of like what they're looking for.
Exactly.
Because, so
Yeah.
that way it's not a shell shock on the floor.
right, okay, so, the last couple of things I had, again, this email just came, I think, was it this week or late last week from the administrator? I think I forwarded it to you about the problem with the roof at the elementary school. And I printed out one copy of this 12-page thing from the inspector person. But I don't know if you've gentlemen heard this, but you know, the town concept was to basically each year for, I guess, 4 or 5 years, put aside 75 or 150,000, depending on what might be available in the budget, into a pool that would be used to repair the elementary school roof when it basically crapped out. And the Deb Boyd, who's the superintendent, I think they commissioned someone to come in because, again, they were afraid of the cost of materials and everything else has been going up. So the original 600,000 that I think we had all pointed towards is now going to be maybe 7 or 900.
Yeah, 905, 904. Yeah, to restore it's 904. So I think she said 950. I think total, and then a roof replacement is 1.8. That's high end.
Right. So the concept originally was to put the money that we could aside, like basically free cash, and then depending on when the roof needs the repairs, at that point we make a decision how much we have in the fund versus what the expenses are. Now with this report,
how much is, not to interrupt you, how much is in
we've had
In the fund right now.
two
the
years.
fund?
Do we have the warrant articles on this one or no? I believe we're like 150 so far. I think we've done 2 years worth of 75 each. Does that sound familiar? I can't remember.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me.
So, I mean, we weren't anticipating that, I mean, not me, but the town was not
Yeah.
anticipating like for another 5 or 6 years that the roof would hold. I'm not sure, I haven't gone through the report specifically. All I know is that there's a big number, and so what's gonna happen is that we're in better financial shape, of course, so we're gonna have to borrow a good amount of it.
Yes.
And then, but I think we should still continue with, this is my personal opinion, continue to put, if we have free cash, put it in, so offset, so we're not borrowing the whole amount. You know, like, whatever we have, we can put towards it, and then that smaller amount will be what we have to borrow.
Yeah, and I have some questions, like what's the difference between restoring and replacing, because that's a whole different,
I would guess that at the school committee meeting, we might be able to get some of these.
answers, I think I'm
Well,
gonna try and go.
yeah, I'm sure she has, I forgot what day is that, Marty, the
Oh,
school?
I don't remember.
I think it's in the next, couple weeks.
Weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
How much money they got in school choice, Jeff, do you know?
I don't know.
Just using that money for every little thing they could. They're supposed to be putting that aside for like building maintenance is what it's for.
That's right.
Yeah. So what I would suggest is the email that I sent, just
Yeah,
take a
send
look
it,
at it.
yeah.
And then Marty and I were gonna attend the school committee meeting, but whoever else wants to come and then ask that specific question. Cause
Yeah.
it always comes up, but I mean, people were sort of talking and they didn't have enough, specific information.
Yeah.
So that would be a good one to ask. And then the last point is just, as you said before at the start, you're supposed to get them by February 1st. There's always stragglers, but we do the best we can to push, and whatever comes in, we take a look at. So I guess my question is, to the group, we can have another meeting prior to the second Thursday in February. I don't know the timing of what's gonna come in or whatever. I mean, we could just say, let's just go for the first Thursday and go every Thursday for February and see what comes in. If we need a meeting prior to that, because there is these supplemental worksheets to look at, and if there's anything else, I'm open to what you would think. I don't wanna arbitrate, I don't want.
Meeting 2 weeks from now, another meeting?
Okay, let's see, it's,
Let me get on my calendar.
Okay, well,
24th.
today is the 11th.
in 2 weeks, what more data will we have that will be
Well,
useful for us?
this is why I wanted to throw it out, because again, I don't know how comfortable you are with, because again, I only printed out 3 of the spreadsheets. I mean, there's like 6 or 7 that are in that one Excel, so, we could just say, all right, take a quick look, and if there is any problem with any of them, bring the questions next time around. That was sort of what I was thinking. Unless there's something overriding that you really want to discuss, I would say either the 25th or the 1st.
Or the 1st. I would say the 1st.
The first is the first Thursday in February.
Yeah, I would
Right.
say the 1st, and then do every Thursday for the month.
All right, so
February.
let's do it that way then, if that's okay with you guys.
Yeah, I don't care.
Just because, like, 2 weeks, yeah, I don't think anyone that is going to have, I think maybe just the Board of Health
Right.
is going to have their budget. So I think maybe if we wait till the 1st and then go every week after.
Okay,
Right, and if you
Yeah.
do have
Supposing
any,
that we'll have-
Yeah, supposing that
they'll
we'll
have the data to review.
Yeah, that we'll have the
Yeah.
data to review.
right, and then if you do have any liaison meetings, we could update those, and then, all right, let's go with that. So, any other new business?
Well, just don't forget to get it posted.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I almost forgot on what was it?
Tuesday, you posted at like 6 a.m.
I was
Yeah.
up at 5 in the morning. They said, "Oh shit," So yeah.
I almost emailed you Monday night because you still hadn't posted. Usually you post it like the week
I
before.
normally do,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I was like, I was gonna text you, be like, did you want me to post it? Because I can.
You'll be censoring all the profane language out of this, I expect.
It's live. It's live. You're live. You're live. You're live.
Yeah.
Tim, we're live.
It's tough getting old. Yeah. So anyway, let's go for the 1st.
All right, so we got the first. Okay, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Thank you very much.